Hey, old John here. Hey, I've had a few requests from various people that either they've seen some of my cooking, barbecue, that's what we do in Texas, right? Or had some, and I had a particular request. How do I do a pulled pork? Now, there's some variations in how I do it, depending on how much time I got, what my mood is, flavor-wise. But here's my go-to basic way that I make it when I'm in a hurry, but you can't rush smoking, but all that leads up to it, etc., etc. So, hope you find this of use to you and you enjoy it, and looking forward to comments back. Hey, I like to do this, I like to do that, and I like trying food. I like playing with my food. So if you got a good comment, hey, I might just try it. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna walk you guys through what I do. One of the things that I do when I'm doing a smoked pork butt for pulled pork. So we start out with a pretty nice chunk here for it's about 8.57 pounds. Price was dropped, which is good because $8 a pound is like silly for pork. So we'll see if we can stitch a video together to show you the whole process. Okay, so I buy the big boxes of plastic wrap at one of the warehouse stores. So I'll lay that out to try to minimize making a mess. Plus, I got to wrap it up anyway. So my go-to, and I'm not paid by Boulders at all, but it's been my go-to for years. And yes, I know it says steak seasoning, but this has been for me the everything seasoning that I use for barbecue. Chicken, pork, it's even good on shrimp. I do my jalapeno poppers, the exterior, when I wrap it with bacon, I season with that. It's just a very good, covers it all. Some of their other products are pretty good. The fajita seasoning, I love. But a lot of the other ones, I don't care a whole lot for. Some of them are just straight herbs stuff. I'll use some of those. But this steak seasoning, it's just the bomb diggity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to coat this guy completely. And so I don't have a camera stand handy. I do have one, but I'm not going to pull it out. And we'll just stitch this video together. Okay. Next, as you can see, I put a very good coating on it, on all sides, the sides, all of it. I've already been through the phase of putting binders on there, mustard, mayonnaise, all these different types of binders to bind it to the meat. Honestly, I don't see that has a lot of value. Yes, mustard has vinegar, it can tenderize, etc., etc. And it doesn't add any flavor per se. I just have found that it's not necessary. So anyway, we'll move on to getting this wrapped up. Now I got it wrapped up. A quick note on this, a couple things that I did do. Of course, there's people that'll be combative about rinsing meat. You don't have to rinse meat, etc., etc. Why I do on certain cuts of meat is bone fragments. When they run this guy through the saw, you can end up with bone fragments. I like to get those rinsed off. And also certain meats like this one, they've got a lot of blood in the package. Not that blood's a bad thing, cooks up just fine. I just find it a little nicer with items like this that we do that. Now normally, I will do this the night before. I'll go ahead and add a few more layers of wrap so we don't have any seepage out of the plastic. And I leave it overnight and literally up into the afternoon. I'll pull it out, let it come back up to room temp before I get it on the smoker. In this case, I didn't plan. I just didn't feel like going out yesterday, actually. So what you at least want to do, if you don't have time for the overnight, at least give it a solid couple of hours in the fridge before you pull it out, let it come back up to temp to get it out on the smoker. So in this instance, we can see what time it is. It's 11 o'clock. So I'll probably pull this rascal out in the, 1:30, 2 o'clock range, and that'll give me, a good 4 hours. That'll make it 6. Yeah, somewhere in that area, I'll end up pulling it out to let it come up to room temp. Okay, I'll go ahead and cover the pan for a bit. This is just a disposable aluminum pan that I will wash, you know, to make sure there's no contaminants on the inside of it from the manufacturing process. In this particular case, I'm using a 15 3/16 by 11 5/16 by 2. So it's the right size that I can fit one of our little cookie racks in, and that way the meat will sit on top of here, and the good stuff that I'm gonna be putting underneath, the meat's elevated from it, and the steam from, you'll see it later, the pineapple juice and oranges and things that I put in here will come up and kind of cook and flavor that meat as it's going over indirect. So just wanted to cover that real quick. You may have another method that fits, and you'll see me have to modify the edges of this because I'm actually using a Weber 22 rather than firing up Big Bertha, my big pit, for such a simple cook. And I'll show you how I'm modifying that later. Apologies for the heavy breathing. I'm in between mowing and trying to get the pit set up. As you can see, 2 weeks worth of growth down on the Texas Gulf Coast. That equates to a workout. So anyway, my Weber is pretty much the standard plain Jane Weber 22 inch. The only thing that's changed about mine is that bottom grate, you know, eventually rusted out. The top grate originally busted out. So both that bottom grate and this top grate are now solid bar stainless steel. I can look up the links if anybody's interested in replacing theirs. I like this. There's versions from this manufacturer that have a lift gate, if you will, on one side of it, so you can lift it up and put in additional coals or wood. I don't worry about that. This works just fine for me. So anyway, I'll show it loaded up in a little bit. So I'm going to show you everything. I'll show you everything. So here's I use the chimney method. You know, if you were seated before, you put paper in the bottom section. It's got a little grill in there, and then you load it up with lump charcoal. I am a lump charcoal guy. I've been through the regular charcoal. Gosh, I've been through everything but a pit grill. One of those pit smokers, which I refuse to do. I'm a stick smoker, period. But anyway, any good hardwood, oak, whiskey. This particular one is lump oak. And then I did chunk up some hickory, and I've tried it both, soak it in the water, not smoke it in the water. The results are really the same, so it's just a preference on that. I do soak it in water for the smoke. Chives, basil. There you go. Okay, here's some of the magic, and that is 100% pineapple juice, a couple of oranges. It's nice with some sliced up lime, some sliced up lemon. Have done that before, but I've just settled on this one. It's quick and dirty, and this works just fine. Okay, real quick, this is easier to do. I talked earlier about modifying the pan. Hey, it ain't nothing fancy. It literally is just bending up the two corners. Because your dome is curved, it'll push it in and it'll push it towards the fire. You can see over here to the right, that's where my actual fire coals are going to be. Not fire, but coals, because we are going to cook this indirect. And we will have to rotate the meat because obviously it won't cook evenly like this in such close quarters. But you rotate your meat during the process, it comes out just dandy. Wanted to show you that real quick because this is easier to do before you put your liquid in there, before you get your fire started. Trying to do it afterwards, which I have forgotten and done, is a major pain. You end up spilling stuff or burning yourself, so do this before. Okay, so that's got her going. Dumped all of my coals, added a few of the soaked hickory chunks. They're just now starting to smoke. They're going to boil the smoke pretty soon. And filled up the bottom of my pan, just right underneath the level of the grating. I may end up having to add more later. Of course, the oranges, they'll start to break down, produce juice. Fat side up is how I start. And I'll let that get nice and brown. I'll end up flipping it 360. Let the other side get nice and brown. Of course, your bottom doesn't get brown, right? Because it's being exposed to the steam coming up from the juice. So at some point I will also end up flipping it over completely so that we get a nice bark on all sides of it. And then later on, we're going to destroy our bark. and then we'll build it back up. Okay, it's been a minute. I know the old saying, it if you're looking, it ain't cooking, but I'm not seeing any smoke. So we're gonna take our first look at it. All right, it's starting to get there. Well, we're still good on our coals for now. I'm gonna wait until those coals go down a little bit. That way when I'm having to pull everything off, I can add more coals and I still have some more wood soaking so we can get that smoke boiling again. But she's okay. You'll notice one of the things that I am doing is, because it's concave, the top of it, right? That heat comes up, goes out the exit. That's why I've got the vent on this side, is to pull the smoke, pull the heat across the top of the meat. Poet didn't know it. Next. Wow, it's hot out here. Just got through weed eating, Texas summer sun, Gulf Coast. Makes you feel alive. My coals were down quite a bit. Just got through adding some more wet hickory on top of that. I'm leaving the top off just for a little bit, get a bunch of oxygen on that coal. You'll help it get ignited a little bit faster. I have already spun this around 360. As you can see, it's starting to get a really nice color to it. Still got a ways to go though. All right, now she's looking right. It's time for me to flip it, but I don't have any way to hold my camera, so I'm gonna pause and bring it back. As you can see, the bottom doesn't have any bark at all. It's because it's been directly exposed to the steam coming off of that juice. So we'll get her covered back up and let her go for a while. Okay, we're starting to get some pretty nice brownness. If I had more time, I'm roughly at 3:30 in the afternoon right now, I probably would let this go another 30 or 45 minutes to get a little bit more crust built up. But because I am running a little bit short on time, sorry for the zoom in there, I am going to go ahead and proceed and covering it with foil. Yes, covering it with foil. What that's going to do is kind of steam it a little bit and allow those juices to just penetrate even further rather than just evaporating up out of the vent. And then I'll conclude with pulling it out with no cover and putting it directly over. So I end up with really tender meat on the inside, but then I've got some of that nice chewy bark that'll be, once it's shredded, mix in, so you're getting some of that chewy periodically on it. So that's the next step. Okay, so she's run about an hour. So you can see being covered up, we lose a little bit of that bark, right? It gets moist, but that's okay. We are absolutely going to recover that. And you can also see that we're way down on our coals. So because I'm holding the camera, I'm gonna fade out and we'll come back with the result. So what did I do? One thing I did was I poured off the majority of the juice, as much as my little glass measuring cup could hold. The remaining, I'm not worried about it producing a whole lot of steam. And of course, because I was doing other things, as we often do when we're barbecuing, I let the coals get down a little bit too far. So I'm gonna let these fresh lumps of charcoal catch a little bit, come up to heat, and that will give me, again, that crispy bark. It's still there, it's just been moistened, right, because it was covered, but I needed that to really penetrate both the flavor in and get that internal meat nice and tender. Now you can do this if you got a bigger pit in a different way and not have to steam it like that, but Big Bertha over there, I wouldn't go through some of these steps, but doing it on a little 22 Weber, hey, this works great. So it's about 6:15. I think I started this roughly 1:32. Obviously I haven't kept up with the time. I haven't really been giving you guys time increments on my different stages of check. It's truly more of an eyeball thing to me at this stage. I've just been doing it so long. I'm not a clock watcher, other than when I'm at work. There's that. I am about to pull this, let it rest, shred. I pulled all the juices off earlier. I already separated the fat that settled on the top of that, and once I get everything shredded, I do pour in a little bit of juice throughout just to rehydrate. So this is just a portion of the shredded pork that once shredded, I did give it a little bit of its juice back. All right, So a couple of notes off of the results of that cook. So you may remember me mentioning one, the longer marinade time makes a difference. It did. Also your cook time. The longer you can cook it, the more tender it's going to be all the way to the bone in the case of a pork butt, right? So the results were just that. And that's exactly why I added the extra juice, because I knew that my cook time was a lot shorter than it normally is. Normally, I would say another 2 to 4 hours on top of the period of time, which was roughly 1 to 1:30, all the way to what, 6:15 I think it was. So on the tenderness, what you end up with if you cut your cook time short, and most especially if you cut your wrap time down shorter, you may end up with a certain amount of meat that's fully cooked, but it's solid. It doesn't shred easily. And so on this particular cook, I ended up with about a quarter total of the meat that didn't shred easily, which was just fine for my purposes. We had more than enough pulled pork. I chunked up the rest of it, threw it in the freezer, and I'll probably make, I don't know, a Cajun smothered pork with the remaining, chop it up and all the goodies that go in a Cajun smothered pork. So it works out fine, but just go into it with the expectation. If you're wanting that entire piece of meat to be truly tender, there's nothing that replaces time. So hope this gave you a good baseline if you've never cooked one before, or maybe a variation, with the fruit juice and the oranges that you'd like to try. It was fun and it was good. Thank you. Like, subscribe, share.